Hello everyone! Guys, we are playing Would You Rather with Christine!
Hi everyone. Christine, I'm one of the youth leaders. Are you ready, Narek? Over to you.
I am ready, yes. The question is, are you ready, Christine, for this game?
I'm always ready.
Amazing. Amazing. So everybody, we are going to play Would You Rather, and me and Christine, came up with very funny and weird Would You Rather. But the question is, what will be the answers of the Would You Rather be? Okay, I'm gonna ask you my first Would You Rather, Christine. Would you rather to have 7 feet long legs, okay, or have 50 kg weight head? So your head be like 50 kg, right?
Okay.
Or you have like a 7 to 8 feet legs.
It's a tough call. So I'm quite short, and I feel like I'd like to experience what it is to be really tall. So I want 7 feet legs.
Great, 7 feet legs, amazing. Now to you.
Okay, well, Narek, this is your time now to tell me. Would you rather cry tears of barbecue sauce or sweat hot sauce?
Ooh, tears of barbecue.
Cry, there's like barbecue sauce coming out of you, and it's like, and when you sweat, though, it's like burning hot sauce, Frank's hot sauce coming out of your pores.
You know what? I will go with the Frank's hot sauce because I like Frank's hot sauce, so I can literally take it and just put it on a sandwich and just eat it. Like, I mean, that would be a bit disgusting, but, I'm not a big fan of barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce is sticky. It will stick on my face and I have to smell. I would say I would go with red hot sauce. Okay, Christine, my next one is, would you rather have to speak in rhyme for the rest of your life or have to speak in riddles for the rest of your life?
Ooh, I have to say, it's got to be speaking in rhyme. Like, I love rap music, so imagine if I was just freestyling all the time.
Yeah, that was sick, isn't it? That would be so good. Like, you'd be very, very impressive as well. Everyone like, whoa, you got some bars. Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to try and do it. I'm going to just try and speak in rhyme for the rest of this. So, Narek, next question for you. Would you rather have chicken wings for arms or chicken drumsticks for legs?
Ooh, I would go for drumsticks because I can run very fast. Like, if you see, the chickens are running very fast, so I would go with the chicken, chicken legs,
Okay.
chicken drumsticks.
Fair enough. I thought you might say wings, because if you might like sweating hot sauce, but then your arms are chicken wings, then you've got buffalo wings.
But yes, then I can, barbecue my things and eat them. Would you rather to eat burger for the rest of your life or eat pizza for the rest of your life?
I think I'm going to say pizza, because pizza's got a lot going on. Like, you've got it's got a lot of food groups.
Okay.
So in its own way, it's nutritious, and you can change it up a lot.
Okay, so you go with pizza. I will go with burger.
What would you
I
say?
like burger. I will go with burger because literally everything you put in between two buns, that's a burger. So one day I will put halloumi, one day will be meat, one day will be chicken, one day will be turkey, one day will be lamb.
Yeah.
You literally put every patty you want burger. So I will go with burger. Yeah.
That's fair. Okay. My question for you is: would you rather go back in time to the dinosaurs or have the opportunity to go into space?
I would go to the space, and the reason is it's cool in the space. If I go to the dinosaurs, they might eat me, so I would just be a bit cautious. So
Fair enough. Okay.
Christine, would you rather to have a time machine and you can travel to any time you want to, or ability to teleport? But teleport, you can only teleport between distance, not time.
Oh, okay. I think teleport because I'm always late. So imagine you could just like teleport and be there.
You save money as well. Yeah, you will save a lot of money as well.
Yeah. You could, and you could also be like, I just want to teleport to this country that I really want to go to.
Yeah, you wouldn't pay for tickets. It's just very quick and fast.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Okay, my question for you, Narek, is: would you rather have Maltesers for eyes, or your tongue is a Snickers bar?
My tongue has a Snickers bar. I like Snickers, so I like. Try to eat it as well. And say, would it grow if I eat it?
I mean, it will hurt because it's your tongue, but in theory, maybe it can grow back.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm fine with Snickers then. Okay, I got a good one for you. Would you rather to be able to feel people's emotion or be able to read people's mind? It's a hard one. What's a good one?
It's really hard. Because, like, do I want to read people's minds? Not really. Do I want to feel people's emotions if they're, like, really sad or angry? Like, not really either, Narek. Either of them is a curse.
Both of them are bad, but I think one of
them... They're both bad, but I have to choose. I'm going to say read people's minds.
Okay. Yeah, I think I will go with that as well. I think it's better than... If someone is feeling anxious, and you will feel anxious as well, so I don't want that.
Narek, would you rather every time you walk into a room, Spice Girls starts to play, or you permanently just hear One Direction in your head?
Wow, that is... Oh, that's not... both of them are bad. It's like... I don't. Well, I'm a fan of. I'm fan of Spice Girls. I like some of their songs, but not every time I walk in a room. That would be too much. But
it's also Wannabe is the track that comes on.
Yeah, Wannabe is quite nice actually.
Okay, it's Two Become One.
You know what? It's better to have One Direction in your head all the time. So I would choose the second one. Well, I would choose the one that when you walk in a room.
Okay.
Spice Girls. So
you would rather that?
Yeah, it's better than playing in your head all the time One Direction. What makes you beautiful? I don't understand properly, but yeah.
So my question as part of that is, if you had to pick a Spice Girls song that was like your theme song that plays everywhere you go, what would you choose?
Wannabe. What I wanna be. You're my lover. Cool, Christine, thank you so much for joining us today for this Would You Rather game. Guys, there's a talk coming after this. We are going to talk about mental health. I'm interviewing one of my very good friends about mental health. So yeah, just tune into that. We're gonna go watch that now. But let's say bye to Christine. And yeah, I will see you guys there. See you all. See you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Hello everyone. Welcome to Sunday Youth Online again. Today we got a great guest here with us. Elias, can you introduce yourself?
Hi there. My name's Elias. I'm a psychiatrist who works in Nottingham. Also a good friend of Adrian, the housemate of Narek. And Narek very kindly invited me along to join you today.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much, Elias, to joining us today. And yeah, as Elias mentioned, he is a great mate of my housemate. And guys, today we are going to talk about mental health. It's a very big issue. It's very common at these days during lockdown. So we're gonna dig deeper into it, but also we're gonna talk about it. How can we overcome mental health with faith? What does faith got to do with mental health? So, Elias, tell us what is mental health? First tell us what is mental health.
What is mental health? I think so. It's essentially your mind being able to do what it needs to do. That's maybe the one way of putting it. So as I've said, I'm a psychiatrist. I deal with people who have problems either of all sorts of kinds. It could be people who just remain sad for a long time, unable to enjoy anything. We call that depression. Some people who are too anxious and just worry so much they can't do anything. They're overthinking about what they're doing all the time to the point where they just can't function. I see some people who, as well as being too low, you can go too high. And some people, they're very, very hyper, and they think they have superpowers, and they can get into lots of trouble. And then some people who just lose touch of reality. Their mind isn't working in a way that they start hearing things that aren't there, and they start seeing things that aren't there, and start getting very afraid of people when actually they don't mean them any harm, and that can be really bad. There can be other ways. So some people, they can't control their emotions, and actually they get into a situation and they can't help but just blowing up at people, like getting very, very angry. And sometimes they might start turning that anger on themselves instead in some cases. So those are all examples of what I would say in my work of when really your mind is not letting you do what you need to do. There's something not quite working right during that time. As I say, as a psychiatrist, as psychiatry and mental health colleagues, we have different ways of trying to help people with those things. And I was thinking, particularly for me as a Christian, it's an important part of. Jesus said, Matthew 22:37, I've written it down here, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and your mind. It's a really important part of us knowing God, loving God. He doesn't want us to just do it all automatically. We have to be knowing Him and understanding Him and feeling what's going on. So looking after our mind is an important part of that, I think. So yeah, I don't know if that's much of an answer.
Thank you, Elias. So there's a lot of different mental health problems that you mentioned, and also mental health, as you described, is what your mind doesn't let you to do, right? It's not normal, it's something different. And also I like to describe mental health like our physical health, right? It's something that we can, look after it and to be healthy. My next question is, at the moment during this lockdown is very hard for many of us, and many of us can go through stress and anxiety, all these different problems. How can we have faith in middle of an anxiety and stress?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I think that's probably exactly where you need faith, really. I think I do understand. I can see why maybe if somebody's in a really distressing situation, you might start thinking, oh, this means God's given up on me or something like that. And I think if that's the case, then you maybe not read or heard much about the Bible and looked in the Bible. So I might ask you a question, Narek. How many people in the Bible had like an easy time in life?
None of them.
Pretty much. I couldn't think of a single one.
No.
Absolutely everybody in the Bible had a pretty appalling time a lot of the time. And then also some amazing times that came after those really bad times, or sometimes it would go back and forth. And it's always that kind of struggle. And faith is exactly that. It's being confident in those things that we've been promised. Like if you have been hurt by somebody, 100% that one day God has seen that, and He recognizes that it's not something that's going to be brushed over. It also doesn't have to be you that needs to go and take matters into your own hands or anything like that. It gives you a lot of freedom, and having that faith that actually the God of the whole universe knows about your life and what's going on. I think it's what's gotten me through some of the worst times. I'll give you an example. Like when I was 27, as well as working in mental health now, I actually was a patient for a time. I had to be what's called sectioned, which is the term for when you keep somebody on a psychiatric ward or in a psychiatric hospital against their will, which was really terrifying. And at that time, I really wasn't well. I thought I was along those lines that I said before. I thought a lot of people really wanted to hurt me when they didn't, and I got very, very scared. I got very frightened, and I was actually in an airport, and I was arrested by police because I'd gotten into a very, very strange state of mind, into a bit of a mental illness. But what I do know all the way through that is that I always prayed. And I always, even when I was on that psychiatric ward and thought that the MI5 and the police were like torturing me and things like that, even when I thought that was happening, I was always still praying. And I always knew whatever's happening now, God is going to bring me through this and it's going to be okay in the end. And he was absolutely right. He absolutely did. And it's exactly that. It is being, faith is for those distressing times. So yeah, I think it's and how we can, I think it is looking at, as I said, look at what the people in the Bible did. Look at Jesus. Look how upset he was at times. He cried a lot. He cried when he turned up at Jerusalem. He said, look how awful everything is here. He cried just before he was going to be killed in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he knows about what it's like when stuff's really bad. He knows that right now. So you tell him about it, and yeah.
Wow, mate, that was amazing testimony that you shared. Thank you so much for sharing your testimony. And oh mate, yeah, that was a really powerful testimony. And yeah, it was really powerful. And yeah, you're right. I really like when you said, faith is the core of this. When we are going through these hard times, actually faith is what comes in handy, and yeah, Jesus went through, Jesus felt an anxiety. He felt anxious at times. He cried, as you mentioned, yeah, he's the only place that we can go when we feel anxious and stressed. But yeah, very great testimony, Elias. I'm just going to move to our next question, which is, if we struggle with mental health, does it mean there's something wrong with us?
It's a very interesting question. I would say, the obvious answer is no, it's very common. We see about 25%, that's like a quarter of the population, would have a kind of diagnosable mental health problem during their life. And a lot more would probably they would have them, but we just never needed to see a doctor about it. And so it's really common. That's something to know. There'll be a lot. They'll actually, if you ask around, there'll be, even though at the time you feel like this is the worst thing in the world and this could never have happened to anyone, you'll find that there are people who've been through similar things. The other part of it as well is a lot of when I've seen people in the middle of particularly depression or really bad times of anxiety, or those that losing touch with reality, you can start feeling a lot worse about yourself because of what you're experiencing as well. Depression doesn't let you see any of the good stuff about yourself. It only lets you see the bad stuff, and everything you're looking at, everything looks terrible, and you're not even able to recognize what good things are happening anymore. It doesn't let you even enjoy the things you normally enjoy. So everything becomes more negative, and that's why it's often really important for you to be able to just recognize you need, if you are in states like that you could be able to talk to someone, and just let somebody maybe talk through exactly what's going on. And sometimes stuff won't be as bad as maybe it's getting when it's just going round and round and round in your head. One of the saddest things, and I'm not myself a child psychiatrist. I see adults, so people between the ages of 18 to 65, and I've seen quite a lot of, especially young men, really sad situations where where they've tried to do some really dangerous things to themselves because of how bad they're feeling, and sometimes they really are unable to talk about it. Sometimes it's because with this lockdown and things, say they've lost a job or they've not been able to go to the uni they wanted, and a lot of things have been changed, and they are awful things that have happened to people, but it's recognizing that we're not perfect and we do need help at times, and sometimes our minds might not be working properly, and just being able to talk to someone is really important.
Wow. Yeah, so a lot of people can struggle with mental health, and we need to talk to people when we struggle with this. My next question is quite connected to what we talked about. We talked about that, faith comes handy when we are going through stress and anxiety and mental health. And we talked about it's sometimes okay to, go through mental health. Like it's okay to not be okay sometimes. But my next question is, how can we look after our mental health? How can we look after it? How can we deal with it?
Wow, there's a lot there, and and some things that kind of come to mind. There's a bit in when Paul, if you know about Paul, he's written some letters to Timothy, who was kind of his. So this was at the beginning of the church, as you know, and it's like Timothy's a bit younger. He's just starting in trying to be a Christian at a really difficult time to be a Christian, and giving him some tips. And Paul, I can't remember which bit of Timothy, so maybe one of you kids can look it up. He says physical training is of some benefit, and he's talking about actually it's really important to look after your body a bit. There's another time where he actually says to Timothy, have a bit of wine, and I don't think it's talking about getting drunk. It's talking about he needs to look after his stomach because he's not really caring for his health, and wine can help. Was apparently quite helpful for stomach conditions there, it seems to be. And so it's looking after those, it's remembering some of these basic things. What are you eating? Have you got a good routine in terms of when you're waking up, when you're going to bed? What are you watching? And I know me and Narek have talked about this before. We know 100% that there's lots of stuff which we can maybe quite enjoy watching at the time, or can give us a bit of a buzz. And actually we know that when this goes round in our head, maybe especially when if we're trying to pray or going to sleep and stuff, it doesn't do us any good. And I see quite a lot of that actually, that there's the things that you're taking in, whether it's what you're reading, how much time you're spending, listening to just quite nasty conversations. I don't like a lot of what is kind of said online in terms of comments and things. I think that people can get really mean to each other, and I think it can sometimes get your mind into a really bad place. So I've just been quite negative there. So what positive things can you do? As I say, a bit of exercise. Try, especially now during lockdown, try and make sure you get your heart rate up a bit, at least once a day. Try and eat, regular meals, not too much, not too little, and make sure it's, as fresh stuff as you can get. And as I said about what you're kind of watching and reading, think this may be a bit of a get out thing. Ask Jesus what you should be watching, and actually he'll give you some if you're being honest with him in prayer, I think he will let you know what's bad, what's good, and you can learn a lot. In terms of specifically with the stress and anxiety, I think that God, in terms of being a Christian, there's a big place for kind of facing some of these things you're scared of. One of the worst things about stress is knowing there's something that you put off. Maybe it's like an essay, maybe it's like something you've got to do, maybe it's and actually just, if you know you've got to do it, and then just get on with it, which I know sounds a bit like telling off, but actually just at least just start. And one of the worst things for those kind of anxiety and stressful mind things is just knowing you're going to have to be doing something. So yeah, don't put stuff off. And then in the midst of all that, remember that God is so much bigger. He really cares about the thing that you're stressed and worried about now. However, he's got so much bigger things in the future going on for you, for the whole world. And so try and remember that, and you remind yourself of that just by, reading your Bible and seeing what sort of stuff God's going to do.
Wow. Mate, there's so much in there to unpack. You said a lot of great stuff about physical, looking at our physical health, what we eat, how we sleep, all of that. All of that has impact. Like one thing I realized about myself, and the days that I'm not sleeping well, I'm more likely to be worried about stuff and anxious about things. Rather than when I have a good sleep, I'm on a better mood. That was a very helpful thing to know about that we need to have a good routine of sleep, good routine of eating. And yeah, you're right, the things that we watch, read, listen to, it has a big impact on us. What we feed in our mind, it's important. If you put positive stuff in our minds, it will help us, and if you put negative stuff in our heads, it wouldn't help us. I remember one of my friends, he used to watch a lot of horror movies, and the effect that had on him was he used to have a lot of an anxiety, and he used to have a lot of panic attacks every time he thought there's someone following him, because he watched a lot of horror movies. So yeah, what we feed is very important, and we need to feed ourselves by Jesus. We need to go to him, the Bible. And you mentioned something really cool, which you said, God is much more bigger than everything, and he cares about us, what we worry, what we deal with in anxiety. I'm just gonna read a verse, and in Psalms 121 says, I lift up my eyes to the mountain, where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let you foot sleep. He who watches over you will not slumber. It's such a beautiful verse to remember that actually our help comes from him. Every time we go through worries and anxiety and everything, we just need to look at him. He's the only place that we can go to. But mate, thank you so much for all your wisdom. Great stuff you shared, and we are coming to the end of our session today. But any last words, any last tips for us to finish the session? Any last tips for how to deal with an anxiety or stress, all those kind of things, or any last advice to us?
Well, it was, I think you highlighted it really well, actually. It's the Psalms. That's one particular place where if you're feeling like you're a bit down, or you're a bit anxious, or you're not in that quite right mind state compared to maybe everybody else at church and things, it's worth having a look through the Psalms and look at how many times King David, he had his problems, but he's also described as a man after God's heart, and the way he prays in the Psalms, it's always, sometimes he's angry, sometimes he's sad, and one of my favorite ones that he said before is Psalm 40, and he says, I waited on the Lord, and he lifted me out of this miry pit, which to me just sounds so much like depression. And yes, I think sometimes at church we can feel a real pressure to always be smiling and always be really happy, and sometimes you're just not. And that's not necessarily going to be a mental health problem either, and I want to make that clear. just because you're sad doesn't mean you're depressed. Just because you're happy doesn't mean that you're bipolar or something. Like God made us to be happy, sad, angry, all these things in their appropriate places. And if you look again through the Psalms, through the Bible, through the way, you know, Jesus had times when he was having a great time. Like, you know, he was sat with his disciples having dinner, everything. He loved it. And then these sad times, and all that is part of being a child of God. But yeah, I would, don't feel out of place if you're sad as a Christian at times. Look at the Psalms. There's a time for that, and also there'll be joy coming as well. It says like sadness or sorrow may tarry for the night, but joy comes in the morning. That's in another Psalm. So yeah, I know I'm talking to people from like 11 to 18. It must be so a lot of what's happened in these days. I think it must be so hard for you guys not being able to have your normal stuff at school. Maybe a lot of you, and as an adult nowadays, sometimes I don't feel like I'm an adult yet, but I'm so sorry that you guys have had to go through so much, and I really do know that God has got it in hand and is planning great things for all of you. But yeah, just stick with him and you'll be fine.
Amazing. Wow, thank you. What an amazing advice. What a great thing to finish our session with. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching our session. And if anyone wanted to chat about any of this stuff, make sure you text me, or as Elias mentioned, it's good to talk about our problems. And if we feel anxious, depressed or anything like that, it's good to talk to people. It's good to not hide, isn't it, Elias? Exactly. We shouldn't hide the things that we struggle. We need to talk to people. It's great to talk to. So if you guys are struggling with any of these things we talked about, let us know. DM us on Inhabit Youth Instagram and we will chat to you. Elias, thank you so much for joining us today. Mate, you shared so much wisdom with us. You shared a lot of amazing points, and I'm 100% sure that young people took so much from today's session. Thank you so much for what you do. And before we start this, you said, I love my job, what I do. So yeah, well done, everything that you do. And thank you so much that you joining us, blessing us with your wisdom. And I hope you have a great week, man.
Will do. You too.
Thank
all
you.
Right.
Have a great day. Bye.
God bless you all.